we'll discuss present simple and present continuous. Now you may say, this is very simple. I've studied this in pre-intermediate or beginner. Well, simple does not really equal low level. Simple usually equals to being very common in every single section of Ielts. And if the structure is very common, it is of absolute importance you master it and avoid any common mistakes. Why do I need present simple and present continuous for reading? Well, when you have long, dense sentences, understanding structures of present simple and present continuous, which are very common, will help you to break down such long and dense sentences into more understandable parts. And you will see this today as well. Alright, we're going to start from present simple then. Alright, present simple. Now the rough translation here is not حاضر zaman. Это не настоящее время. Maybe the official translation is like this, but I find it rather confusing. The closest translation I could come up with is in Uzbek. Bo'p turadigan, bo'p turadigan holatlar, lekin narsalar, holatlar. In Uzbek, so we use it for bo'p turadigan holatlar. In Russian, we use it for ситуации, которые случаются. Если поточнее, you can imagine, let's say your friend fails an exam, and you say, бывает, bo'p turadi. Бывает, bo'p turadigan narsalar, то, что случается в жизни, факты жизненные, или то, что просто случается у людей. This is present simple. Alright, I hope the function is clear. Let's look at the structure. Alright, I'm gonna write a sentence here, and we're gonna break it down. I'm gonna write two sentences, I guess. Alright, we use it when somebody does something, or when somebody does not do something. Now in IELTS, we don't have contractions, neither in reading nor in writing, so we don't write doesn't. So it should be does not all the time. Okay, now let's break down the structure. Basically, we have our subject, that's somebody, that's a main character, and right after the main character, we have the main action, does. That could be somebody jumps, somebody reads, somebody sleeps, it could be any verb, as long as it makes sense. And then I have my object, does something, additional stuff that receives or gets the action. Alright, if it's negative, it's quite simple here as well. We'll have our subject. We'll put this together, does not. This is like separately from the verb. And then I have my verb. And then I have my object. Let me give examples for both. The first example here would be, let's say, I visit my grandmother on Fridays, or I don't visit. So here you see I'm not saying does not, I'm saying I do not. We're gonna break it down. Why I do not visit my grandmother on Fridays. Okay, the basic meaning here would be jumla kunlari shu borib turaman. Shu bo'lib turadigan narsa borib turaman joy kunlari. По пятницам я посещаю свою бабушку. Ну, это бывает, посещаю. So this is how it works here, fellas. Now let's look at the structure. So where is the subject? We have I, that's the subject. Then I have my verb, visit, and then who do I visit? I visit my grandma. That's the object. It receives my action. And this is not important, it's just additional info here. Okay, the same is down here. And now I want to show some variations here. Now, one would have he, she, it. You probably know this, but still, won't hard to revise this. We do not say I do not. We say he does not, she does not. It could be Anna, it could be mother, it could be brother. As long as their pronouns are he, she, it, we say does not. Anna does not visit her grandma on Fridays. Yeah, could be something like this. We're not going to look at question form because you will not really need it in IELTS, and I don't want to spend time here in this video explaining it. One more point that you may be missing out on is adding s here. to verbs. Now, again, it is very simple. However, still, 90% of essays that we see that get a low score always skip this S here. So I recommend you're very mindful. And if you don't know, just see here, when do we use this S? Again, when you have he, she, it, there is this rule. You gotta put S to your verbs. For example, my brother, so this is he, right? My brother, I don't say visit, I say visits. If you have visit here, this breaks the rule of subject verb agreement. They should agree with each other. Visit right now doesn't agree with my brother. When I say visits, now it agrees. So they're following the rule here without any problems. Right now, let's take a look at a little more IELTS-like sentence. Let's say participants in the study failed to identify the reasons behind or the reasons for their success. Alright, that looks a little bit dense, немножко плотное. Плотное предложение, информации много, сал бақуатро яб, информация скоп. Again, this is present simple. If you take a look at that, we're gonna break it down. So we have our subject. Where is the subject? It's participants in the study. That's like one subject, one entity. If you cannot really understand where is the subject and what is the noun, I highly recommend you watch the video, noun, verbs, and come back to this video. Okay, they failed. I have my action here. They failed to do what? To identify. Usually, when you have a verb and then you have two and one more verb, this is just one action. There's no reason to divide them. So they failed to identify. They failed to identify what? They failed to identify reasons for their success. You will have sentences longer than this, a little more dense than this. Again, understanding the structure will help you to break them down and have a little more understanding, even if you don't know the words. A lot of people don't translate like this. Rather, they translate like this. They look at the word failed, they look at the word reasons, they look at the word success, participants, and like randomly they try to make sense. And usually, almost in 90% of situations, they come to wrong conclusions. You should not be translating or understanding sentences like this. You should be breaking down, finding subject, verb, object, and building your clear understanding here. Now, let's deal with present continuous. Let me put it here. Present continuous. Okay. Present continuous. In our case, now we can call it настоящее время. Hozirgi zamonda endi уверенно we can say this. All right. In Uzbek, again, this is hozirgi zaman. Именно hozir bo'layotgan bo'lishi kerak. That's it. Not a fact, not a thing that repeats. It should be happening right now. It's as simple as that. All right. In Russian, that would be настоящее время. Текущее время. Вот только сейчас прям идет. To show the difference here with present simple, let me give you a quick example from your life. For example, you are studying IELTS. Bu bo'lib turadigan narsa emas. Это не то, что бывает в жизни, right? Bo'lib turadi, я вот по вечерам там изучаю IELTS на протяжении своей жизни. This is that is happening only right now, right? So right now, at this moment in your life, you're studying IELTS. Now you can work with this fact however you want. If you study IELTS your whole life, you want to say that o'rganib turaman, shunaqa ma'no. Я вот бывает изучаю. Если такое значение, use present simple, no problem. It depends fully on your meaning. However, if you want to show that at this moment in my life, in this period, I am focused on IELTS and это время сейчас I'm studying IELTS, then you gotta use your present continuous here. So we use present continuous to show that something is happening only right now. That's it. Например, for example, you could also say, we are watching the World Cup because it is temporary, right? Это временно. Вот сейчас именно мы смотрим. That's it. hayot davom etaman. Это не то, что bo'lib turadi. If you want to put the factor, что har 3 yil yoki har 4 yil bo'lib turadi, что мы смотрим World Cup, тогда you can put a present simple. If you want to give that meaning, что bo'lib turadi, shunaqa ma'no if you want to give, then use present simple. If your goal is to show that it is happening right now, so you say we are watching the World Cup. It's not as simple as it was in general English. So here it fully depends on what you want to show. Do you want to show то, что it happens only now? Or do you want to show that it is something that happens usually, like regularly? And this can also be present simple and can also be present continuous. It's going to fully depend on your meaning. All right, let's look at the structure. Okay, structure here is somebody is doing something. It could be something here as well, not necessarily somebody. We can say something is happening. We can also say that, no problem. Okay, so what is the structure here? We have our subject, main character, that is performing the action, somebody or something, and then we'll have a very interesting thing here, and you should not confuse it. This is not a verb, this is to be. Probably in general English, you learn this as to be, and for now, keep it as to be. It can also be a verb in present simple, not to be as a verb, but we'll discuss it when we finish present continuous. We'll discuss words are, was were, and will be, because they're very confusing, and they are one of the main reasons why people have mistakes with present simple and present continuous. Then I have my verb plus ing, and then everything is the same. I have my object. So here's the structure. Okay. Regarding to be's, so what kind of to be's do we have? Let's make it clear. We have am, is, are, we have was, we have were, we have will be. It's not will. We don't have this as to be. We have will be. That's to be. Okay, let's get some examples here. About my grandma, let's take the same example. I am, and you will see the difference, visiting my grandmother. I can keep Fridays, doesn't matter. You could have learned that if you say on Fridays, it must be present simple. But it may not be present simple as well. It does not really depend on keywords anymore. It depends on your meaning here. You gotta decide what to use based on your needs, based on what you want to say. So как тут получается? Вот o'zbek tilida qanaqa bo'ladi? Hozircha shu juma kunlari borib turibman. Mana shunaqa ma'no chiqyapti. Qatniyman, boraman emasda bo'lib turadigan narsa. Borib turibman hozircha. So that's present continuous. In Russian that would be вот пока что вот я посещаю свою бабушку по пятницам. Пока что это вот временно. That's it. А вот тут вот было вот я посещаю по пятницам. Как факт, что это то, что случается в моей жизни. Alright. This is done here, I guess. Now, if it is a negative sentence, for sure, I just say I'm not visiting my grandma. Visiting my grandmother on Fridays. Now, the same rule here applies. If you have he, she, it, you'll use is. If it's they, and plural form, you'll use are. For he, she, it, you use was. And for I, you also use was. For were, you use plural tenses. And you will be, you use for everything. It's quite straightforward. Let's get an Ielts-like sentence here. Let's see. More, more and more individuals living in urban areas are choosing um, to own, what it, to own an accommodation, call, let's say, own a house instead of renting it. Okay. Now, the person who doesn't understand present continuous and doesn't understand subjects, nouns, again, will randomly try to get the meaning, and the meaning will be wrong. They will start focusing on living in urban areas and they will not be able to get a clear meaning out of this. The person who knows the structure will not struggle with it at all. All right, let's find our subject here. You can pause the video and right now find subject, to be, verb ing, and object. Let's go. I have more and more individuals living in urban areas. This is one subject, like one noun. It can be long, it can be 10 words, it can be 20 words, doesn't matter. Yes, here it is quite long because it can be long. No problems with it. You may say, isn't this living my verb? But we just talked that the structure here involves to be. I don't have a to be here, so probably it's not a verb. It is a different thing. It's called participle clause. We're not going to talk about it now, but you should be able to understand that this is not a verb. It's a part of the subject. Then I have my to be, are. That's great. Then I have my verb, choosing, to own, right? Just as in the example before this. Okay, owning what? A house instead of renting one. What meaning we can extract here? It should be simple, really. Все больше и больше людей, живущих в городах, выбирают владеть домом, вместо того, чтобы арендовать его. Так, shaharda yashaydigan odamlarning orasida uyga ega bo'lish xohlayotganlarning soni ko'payib boryapti. Arenda qilganlarning soniga qaraganda. That's the meaning here. Okay, I guess for you to process this in Uzbek, if you speak only Uzbek, it will take a little bit of time. So I recommend you rewatch the part where I translated it and you try to track what part did I start from when I translated it in Uzbek. All right, before we start looking at a very common problem, I want to clarify one more thing when it comes to subject, both in present simple and present continuous. We can have a sentence like this. Going to a cafe is getting more and more popular in my city. Now, the person who doesn't understand how subjects work or how nouns work will get absolutely distracted and will not have any ability to get any meaning from here. Now, if you cannot do that right now, you cannot find subject, you cannot find to be and verb. Again, I highly recommend you rewatch the video on noun verbs. Okay, subject here would be going to a cafe. Yes, I know it has ing. I know it looks like a verb, but it's not a verb. Sometimes we add ing to nouns to name an action. So we're naming an action here. This is still a noun, it's not a verb. Okay, then I have the same structure after this. When you figure this out, everything becomes very clear. You will stop translating this as action. Okay, going to a cafe, so I have my to be is getting more, getting what? Getting more and more popular in my city. And then everything becomes very clear. All right, right now we're going to look at a very common problem that almost every single candidate has, even if they think they're high level. So I guess we need a lot of clarity, we need a lot of understanding here, not just learning by heart. Okay, we have these words here. M, let me put it. M is, are, was, were, will be. Okay, these words have two functions and two meanings. All right, first of all, yes, as you studied in general English, these words can be classified as to be's, right? But to be's only and only in continuous sentences, in continuous sentences, like present continuous, past continuous, future continuous, and that's it. You don't use them as to be's in any other case. All right, so what is their function? What is their meaning if they are used as to be's? Now the thing is, they do not have a meaning. They do not have any meaning. You cannot translate them at all. They have a function. So what is their function? They show that the sentence is in continuous form. That's it. All they do is show the person who's listening to you or the person who's reading that this is happening right now. This is present continuous or future continuous or past continuous. That's it. They don't do anything else. Let's get an example here. I am, let's say participating in a tournament. Tournament. Okay, yeah, qatnashmoqman. Sarayda o'ynadi. Okay, let's translate it. Yeah, I have my subject here. Then I have my verb, participating. I have my to be, am. In what? In a tournament. Let's translate. Я все нормально. Это можно перевести. How about am? I don't really know how to translate that. Participating, that's соревнуюсь, соревнование. So I can translate this. This, I cannot do anything. Same in Uzbek. Man, am tarjima qilolmayman. Qatnashyapman. Buni tarjima qilaman. Musobaqada tarjima qilaman. So that's it. Now we're gonna look at our second case here. The second case, when we use am is are, was were, and will be, is when we want to use them as verbs. So, улана verbs в отличие от ولد. Их можно использовать в качестве глаголов, verbов. But not just simple verbs, they're state of being verbs. They're called like this, state of being verbs. But again, they function just like any other verb. You will see the same structure of present simple, nothing changes. Because people tell something like this. So let's say I have a sentence, I am tired. They say, okay, I have a subject here, I. Where's a verb? Is this a verb? I don't really understand because this is to be. What's happening with the structure? Okay, right now we're going to clarify this. As I said, am is are and everything else can be two verbs here. They have a meaning. And I'll show the meaning right now. Probably it will be a bit tricky to get the meaning in Uzbek and in Russian because these words do not exist neither in Uzbek nor in Russian. But still, there is a way to translate them, especially, not especially, only when they are verbs. Okay, the meaning here usually bullish. Bullish the meaning, now we have it, right? When it's to be, don't learn like to be bullish, bullish mass. It's just structure. When emis are verbs, then it has a meaning. Bullish, in Russian, that would be являться. Или бывать. Okay. For example, in English, let me give you a quick example here. This sentence makes sense. I am, yeah? Because I is subject, am is verb, and this is translated "ма борма" или "я есть", "я являюсь". So am here has a meaning. You can translate this, no problem. Or you are. Okay. How about this sentence then? How am I going to translate am here? So I am tired, let's say in the evenings. So what do I get here? Again, this is present simple, you know, it's bo'lib turadigan narsa, hayotda. Tired is no way, it's not a verb, it's adjective, right? Уставший. So I have my subject, я, потом бываю, потом I have adjective, уставшим по вечерам. That's я бываю уставшим по вечерам. Man charchagan bo'laman kechqurunli. Shu bo'laman degan ma'nosi bor. Shu bo'lib turaman, charchagan bo'lib turaman kech payt. So here it can be translated. Hopefully it should make sense here. Or we can get something even simpler than that, so we have full clarity. Let's say I say, my house is big. A lot of people either skip this or put being or something else here because of not understanding the function. All right, we have a translation here. It's also present simple. خدوا شنو present simple formulas قناة. What was the structure? Subject here, then I have my verb, then I have my object. And the same thing happened here. You see here, I have my subject, I, Am is a verb, tired, that's my object. Alright, my house is big. Sometimes it's not important you have object. You may have object, you may not have object, but you will always have subject verb. Okay, so I have my house, that's main character, that's subject. Then I have is, then I have big. So how do I translate this? Мой дом является большим. Нельзя говорить мой дом большой. I know in Russian we say мой дом большой, but является. In Uzbek, however, small sentence like this can get a bit tricky. I will translate it as much as possible. Make sure you just get the structure and you get what I want to try to say here. мой манай уям bo'lishi katta, right? So mani uyimni borligi katta, mani uyim bor, iu katta, like this. So bor bo'lishini ko'rsatish kerak bo'ldi. Просто katta deb qo'yish mumkin emas. You gotta have a verb here in your present simple sentences. Hopefully, after this video, we will avoid sentences like, let me put here, my room, not tidy, right? There's no action. You want to use present simple here, and we need action here, my room. So I need to put is, not tidy, не является, right? And hopefully we'll avoid sentences like, uh, the sales increasing. What is increasing? Is it present continuous or present simple? I think it's none of this, right? If it's present continuous, I need my to be. If it's present simple, I just need a verb, not verb ing. So choose one. I can put like this present simple now. Agar bo'lib turadigan narsa bo'lsa, hozir bo'layotgan bo'lsa, esa это сейчас участно, I'll put increasing and I'll say are increasing. In the handouts that I gave, you'll find exercises to practice this present continuous and present simple. Plus, in the same topic on Telegram, you'll find additional quiz questions where you can practice further.